What's up, guys? I'm Tinashe Moya, and welcome to another episode of Stride. On this channel, my goal is to inspire people to take the first step towards their goals in life using my personal experiences. And in this video, I will be talking about the journey of my professional career, which is one of the most interesting stories I like to share. So sit back and enjoy. Okay, welcome back, people. So, before I get into detail, I just wanted to update you on something really important. And this has to do with my health. So, I've been feeling better. Uh, Remember, I am a high blood pressure patient. So, I recently went for a doctor's review. Now, prior to the review, from the month of December, I had been writing down my blood pressure checks because I was constantly checking my blood pressure levels. So they were okay. And on the day where I went to see the doctor, I checked again in the morning and it was fine. But when I got to the clinic, I don't know, there's just something about getting to the clinic. You just feel some kind of anxiety. When the nurses checked my BP levels, it was actually quite high. So when I got to see the doctor was just checking on a few things, and he was just like, so the levels are still failing to normalize. And then I immediately showed him the paper that had all my checks that I did for the whole month. And then he was just like, so why is it here is where you get like the high BP levels? Because I think a few months going back, it's been like that. But when he checked the paper, he could actually see that the readings were actually normal. They were actually good. So he was just saying, so we don't really need to worry about your high blood pressure, because he was actually thinking of um, increasing dosage or changing the medication. But he was just like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let you continue on the medication that you have, so we don't have to worry about anything. So in a nutshell, I just wanted to tell you guys that I'm doing okay. I actually feel happier, compared to how I used to feel before I got to see the doctor. So I think I just thought it would be an inspiring moment for you guys. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get this show on the run. And now we get into the story of the day. God damn it, that was weak. Um, I really love talking about my professional career because there's so many things involved in it. So I just want to go back a little bit to my days in primary school, or some of you might know it as grade school. I think I said some of the stuff before in my previous episode, that I just grew up as a quiet and shy kid. So when I finished my grade seven, um, I didn't have satisfactory results, because I think during our time, for you to be considered a successful student, you needed to have at least 10 units or 4 units to like 10 units. Anything above 10 was actually considered a failure, and I had 13 units. So I, I like having 13 units simply means that you don't get a high school place easily as compared to 4 units to 10 units. So we had to like scramble with my mom, and I want to thank my mom from the bottom of my heart for, yeah, spending the energy to like get me to high school. So yeah, my high school days, I didn't really enjoy myself because, I didn't want to be a boarding student because I, I enjoyed being at home so much. So having to go away from my family was just something that I didn't enjoy. So Form 1, I used to run away from school. And then I would lie to my parents that we're on exit. It's like an exit holiday. But it was just me wanting to be home. I think I did it for like 3 occasions until my mom just started to suspect that it wasn't real, of which it wasn't. And so she had to call one of my cousins named Kudakwashe Mganu, better known as Gunshot, to take me to take me back to school. And then he got to meet up with the deputy headmaster at that time, who and the funny thing was that the day I ran away, they actually saw me walking because I had to walk all the way to the road where I could at least get transport to get into town because I was in Bernard Mzeki College in Marondera. So they saw me there. I just had to lie like, oh, my parents called me because they had to leave home, so I had to be the stay-at-home kid. It's stupid alibis. So the deputy headmaster told him that, and they went. So Gunshot went back home, and he told my parents about it, and that was the end of it. But still, I I still managed to weasel my way to just going back home. I started to fake having as asthmatic attacks because what happened was that I think in Form 1 I got sick, and then m- I think the doctors actually said that I had bronchitis. So I got an inhaler, I think just to, just to take care of the condition at that time. But I'm not asthmatic. I was never asthmatic. But then I only used that to go back home. So I never really enjoyed my time in high school. So at that time in Bernard Mzeki College Form 3, I failed. And now here's the funny thing. The the teachers, like the senior teachers and the headmasters, right? They would announce like the top 10, the best students. And then they got to a point where they started announcing the bottom 10. Now there was there was like a year where I came in last, right? So I was number last. And then this other term, I came in second from last. So when they announced, they said that the guy who came in last had one subject. And then me being second from last, I had no subjects. I didn't pass any subject. But for some reason, my points were more than they were more than the guy who passed one subject. I don't know. I don't know what happened. So academically, I wasn't gifted. I ended up transferring from Bernard Mzeki College. And then after Bernard Mzeki College, I repeated my O level for like 5 times. NBA, you've got like 5-time MVP, and then academically, you've got the 5-time repeater, man. I don't know. I should get an accolade for that, I'm sure. So, yeah, things were really tough for me, but they were also tough, on my parents. Like every time, I think most terms in high school, I failed, and my dad used to beat me up so bad. I won't talk much about my dad beating me up because I already mentioned it in my previous episode. But anyways, yeah, after high school, I really found life tough for me because I was just like, okay, what's gonna happen? And then you've got people that come to you and they start telling you what to do. People were telling me to do things like plumbing, you know. I was like, I don't enjoy doing things like plumbing. What do I like? Why would you want me to go do that? Just because I failed, it doesn't mean that you have to go and do plumbing. So you always get to go through things like that. And I was just trying to figure out like what I could really do with my life, but then I had no idea. And my dad was always on my case. Like, what are your future plans? Right? It's like things are just muddled up. You don't know what you want. But then I was still trying to figure things out. I kind of had an interest for IT, but then I didn't even know what IT was about. I think I only knew that IT was basically about computers. I kind of had a thing for computers. Well, I think it was pretty much using it. But apart from that, the technical side, I had no idea. So my dad was always on my case. But I think when I look at it now, he made me strong. So there was a time where I tried to figure things out. So I, for some reason, ended up developing an interest in Windows Movie Maker. So I would just make these funny videos. I would just edit funny clips just for fun. And I really enjoyed it. And the thing was that I was trying to follow in my father's footsteps because my dad, he worked for like 35 years as a cinematographer and film editor and producer as well. So I was just like, okay, I want to follow in my dad's footsteps. I want to do what he used to do. At least I know I have like the bug, you know? So one day he actually asked me like, um, what do you want to do like professionally? And then I just said, I want to do video editing. And then he immediately shut me off like, no, that's pathetic. You don't need to do that. You need to do something else. And it um it broke my heart, because I was just like, man, I'm going to do something that my dad used to do. I'm going to carry his legacy, but now he's shutting me off. I don't even know why he's doing it. And then, I got fed up with video editing. Immediately stopped after I had said that. And I think I spent years without doing anything that had to do with video. So we got to a point where we fought with my dad. But before I talk about that, uh, there's an uncle of mine, and his name is Gibson Mufudza. Uh, I think shortly after high school, he wanted to start a small IT company because he's well versed in IT, and he told me to learn graphic designing. At that point, I had no idea what graphic designing was about. So he told me to learn about graphic designing. And then I was like, all right, cool. Because he also wanted me to be part of the team. So it was going to be him, me, and his best friend. So I started looking up graphic designing on the internet, just reading about it, learning about it on YouTube, watching tutorials. And, I immediately fell in love with graphic designing. So what I started doing in terms of graphic designing, I worked on a P3 computer, which was very, very slow. And I used Adobe Photoshop, I think CS3 or if not CS2, the older versions, right? Um, these were versions where if I applied Gaussian blur to those who do designing, you understand this term, right? Applying that effect would slow my computer. My computer would even freeze, But anyways, that's not even the point. So, in terms of the designing part, I focused on mainly photo manipulation because that was the first thing that actually blew my mind. That was the first thing I fell in love with. So I learned like bit by bit and I taught myself. So I'm actually a self taught designer. So I kept on working on that craft as much as I could, as much as I could. And um, the unfortunate thing was that the IT company that my uncle wanted to start, uh, it ended up not materializing. But I then kept on doing the graphic designing because I really enjoyed it. And I even got to points where I would work with a really good friend of mine called Warren H, a dope rapper and producer, songwriter as well. So he had a couple of projects that he was working on at that time, and he had asked me to design CD covers because at that time it was basically CDs where you could burn and take them to the radio or just play on your radio at home. So I worked on different CD covers and I liked the process. I enjoyed the process so much. He gave me creative freedom. And yeah, it I was slowly building the craft. And now getting back to my issues with my dad, right? We had fights because I was really getting invested in graphic designing, and my dad wanted me to get into farming because, um, you know, I think when I think of it now, or rather, I feel like he thought that I would get easier access into the farming industry because uh, his late young brother, Professor Sam Moyo, and may God rest his soul, um, he was one of the most prominent and proficient uh, members of the farming industry, if not one of the most successful people. So I think my dad thought, oh, if I can get this kid into the farming industry, he's going to get money so easily. But then I did not enjoy farming at all. I mean, I never even enjoyed doing gardening at home, truth be told. Yeah, it's our responsibility as dudes to work on the gardens at home, but I never enjoyed any of that. So we fought for months. Like, I don't want to do this. I want to do designing. At least take me to design school, not taking me to, a farming college. Because I then posed a question, I don't know where I got the guts, but I posed a question and then I just said to him, okay, fine. If I go and do what you want me to do and then I fail, who do we blame? Do you blame me or we blame you? and, and he just kept quiet. And then I was just like, yes, I think I just won the battle, you know? So that story ended. And then I continued working on design. So of course I needed a job. I wanted a job because you're under, excuse me, you're under family pressure, right? Your family needs you to do something with your life, especially my older sister, who's based in the UK. No, no. Wow. Deputy parents, right? So she would be on my case. My mom would be on my case. Even my dad would be on my case. Like, you need to be serious with your life. You need to do this. You need to do that, you know? And of course, I did my best to like try and talk to people. But then at that time, one of the things that stopped me from actually advancing was the idea that in my high school, man, I should have said this thing earlier, but anyways, um, in my high school results, right? I only mentioned that I repeated 5 times. In those 5 times, I only acquired one subject, one O level, and that's English language. I think That's why I use English most of the time on Stride, or rather, all of the time, one subject. So, for me to create a CV, I felt like I couldn't because the minimum requirements are like here in Zimbabwe, it's just like 5 O levels. So with one, I couldn't do anything. So I was just like, I can't create a CV, you know, with that. What do you want me to do? You know? So I'm grateful for the fact that in that moment I got to meet uh, one of my good friends to this day, and his name is George Mseta. So George is cousins with another best friend of mine, my really close friend as well. That's not Paddington Kaseke. Please, guys, this is Tawanda Perai, and I always feel like he doesn't get enough credit as my close friend. I'm sorry, Tawanda, if you're watching this video. Yes, I'm giving you credit now, only for this video. So, anyways, I got to meet George, and I told George about the things that I aspired to do in terms of designing. And then I told him, like, hey, I would like to apply for a job, but then I don't know how I can do it because I only have one subject academically. And then George was just like, that's all right. You don't even need to like worry about that subject. You can use like the skills that you have. If you can design, you can just list down all of the things that you're able to do. If it's logos, if it's flyers, if it's business cards, posters, any of those things, you can list that down in your CV and you can start, pushing it out. And, that moment alone really changed things for me because I started to see things from a different perspective. All this while, I was just, everything was just obscure. I didn't even know, like, how am I going to handle things if I only have one subject? I had so many limitations, but George really helped me to see life differently in the professional world. And George, if you ever get a chance to see this video, bro, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for helping me out. So when I made that CV, I think I sent it to a few people, but then there was like things that I still needed to work on because as designers, you need to create portfolios so that people can actually see the work that you can actually do. And I had not really done that, so I started working as hard as I could. I pushed so hard. Now, high school, 2009, I went to Spaces College, right? That was the last year I was repeating my O levels. And at Spaces College, that's where I got to meet Paddington. Yeah. And, you know, we we actually clicked in an instance. We actually noticed that we shared pretty much the same values. We were always on the same wavelength on so many things. But most importantly, what really got us together was was the late great king of pop, Michael Jackson. We both loved and still love Michael Jackson so much. We started seeing that we had a lot of his music, the both of us, exchanging some of the songs that we didn't have. And so from that time, we developed a really strong relationship with Paddington. So after Spaces College, 2010, man, it seems like I I never succeed in doing things in chronological order. But anyways, there's no rules in this. It's just a story. No, whatever. So 2010, Paddington, he passed, and then he went to university in South Africa, and he went to Midrand Graduate Institute, which is now known as Edu Eduson. I hope I got it right because I saw it before. I just hope I got it right. And yeah, he studied graphic designing there for 4 years, and during that time when he was in university, I was back home, here in Zimbabwe, no school, no nothing, still working on my craft. So, as I had decided that I needed to build up my portfolio, I would sometimes ask Paddington about the things that he would have learned, or maybe some assignments that he got, so that I at least get something that I can create and put in my portfolio. I even got to a point where I would ask him to help me with fake names for fake companies so that I could design logos, business cards, flyers, just so I could add those things in my portfolio. And it actually worked. We worked hand in hand. And so um, during that time, we, as we noticed that we were really getting closer and closer, our bond was getting stronger. Um, I happened to accidentally create a logo, which had the initials like a symbol with AL, and it was actually inspired by a company called MedSure, like the icon. So I just sent it to Paddington, and I was just like, "Oh, look at this, man! We could use this for our company." I just said it in passing, and it was just like, "Cool, cool." And then I think a few months later, I actually asked him, like, "So, if we are to start a company, would you be willing to ride with me?" And he was just like, "Yeah, sure, we'll do it." And then I was like, "Yes." But then you're not serious at that time. You're just like, "Yeah, we're just playing around." Because um, I've always been a fan of fantasizing things. So, anyways, fast forward, Paddington graduated from university and he came back to Zim. I was still in Zim. I never left, right? And I was still working on my craft. I enjoyed it. Sometimes I would have late nights. I would sleep very, very late, but I still enjoyed doing all of those things. So when Paddington came back, he never got a job, right? So he also struggled with getting a job. Myself was still struggling too. Even though I had a portfolio, I was still struggling to get a job. Now, there's still pressure in my ears, right, from my parents and my older sister. And it even got to a point where my older sister actually told me, like, "Hey, go to South Africa and just do something else, Because, I mean, this whole graphic designing thing is clearly not working out." And man, I was just like, you can't just shut my dream off just like that. So I was still trying as much as I can. I got to a point where I ended up creating a different CV, completely different from uh, the graphic designing one. And I wanted to apply for a job as a shelf packer in a supermarket. And I actually sent CVs to supermarkets like Spar, Pick and Pay, I think OK as well, but I didn't get the job. So I think Spar actually responded and they just said, "We don't have any vacancies, but if we do get them, we will let you know." And then I was just like, okay, I think that's my cue for me to continue pushing designing, regardless of how people feel about what I do. So, getting back a bit to the times when I had fights with my dad, we even got to a point where we went to his mother's house, my grandmother, just to talk about those things. Like my dad would just be like, this kid is useless, blah, 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 but it's only out of disappointment, right? I was just like, I didn't like it. I didn't, all of those things. But anyways, yeah, whatever. Anyways, getting back to the time I had applied for a shelf picker job, I continued pushing. And then I think in 2015, that's where I had to like really gear up. I started sending emails. I started looking, I just started looking up advertising agencies in Zimbabwe. And I was just sending emails, sending my portfolio to those guys. And, still nothing came up. So I had come across this company called Spidex Media, and I immediately fell in love with that company. I was just like, man, I would love to work for this company. So I followed it around on the internet, seeing what the managing director is doing, because apparently the managing director is the same age as I am. I'm 34 years old. I'm turning 35 this year. And his name is Gilbert Eugene Peters. Yeah, that's how bad it was. I followed the guy around. Don't call me a stalker. It's business related. So anyways, yeah, I would follow him around looking at what the company was doing. And then I just got to a point where I sent him a message. I actually requested him on Facebook, and then I inboxed him, and I was actually asking for a job. And then he told me that there were no vacancies at his workplace, because I had actually sent my portfolio to him on Facebook as well. So when he told me that there was no vacancies, I was gutted. I was just like, man, so if I can't work for Spidex Media, who am I going to work for? So months passed, and then I ended up getting a call by some other guy, and he called me up for an interview. So I went for the interview, and I think the interview went okay. And I actually thought that I was gonna get the job, but then when I got home, I was actually expecting a call. I didn't get the call, and I was wearing like formal clothing. I actually got into bed with that formal clothing because I was depressed so much. Like, man, what am I gonna do? So I think a few months passed, and then I got a call from that guy again, and he was just like, my boss wants us to do a test run. So I need you to meet me at this place so we can meet up with my boss. And then I was just like, oh, okay, I think now I really got the opportunity. So we went to meet up with his boss. So it was me, some other lady, and the guy. We got to meet the boss. Unfortunately, I can't share the boss's name. I'm really big on privacy. I know, I know some of you guys are actually like, man, you're always saying privacy, privacy, but I think it's for the best. But anyways, we got to meet up with the boss, right? And we spoke a bit. He got to view my portfolio, and he actually liked my work, which gave me a confidence boost. And he stated that we were to start work on a Monday. So we started going to work, and I was really happy. Like, okay, I think my dream has finally come true, because now I get to go to work. So we were going Monday to Friday, and we had like different projects, right, that we were planning to do. Now, at this company, it was just the three of us, because all the other employees had left for reasons which we never really got to know about, even to this day. So it was just the three of us. And we were all determined to make things work. Because especially for me, I'm like, yeah, I want to prove to all of these people that doubted me that, yeah, I can actually do it. So unfortunately, in as much as we worked hard, we only worked for 2 months and we ended up leaving the company because the boss refused to pay us, you know. And that was really heartbreaking, you know, because I was just like, man, if I don't have this anymore, what am I going to do? Because now I'm going to be forced to do something that I don't want to do. So a few months after, right, um, my older sister came with the issue of me uh, leaving Zimbabwe to go to work in Dubai. Now, I wasn't interested at all, but she would push as much as she could. She pushed. It annoyed the heck out of me. I did not want to do it. I did not want to go. She pushed. I, I would ignore as much as I could, but she kept on pushing. And then, you know, I tried it out. Well, not, I didn't apply, but I just spoke to someone who stayed there in terms of accommodation. And then the guy just said, it's a little bit tricky. I just have to hear from my landlord. But I never got to hear any positive news. And then I was just like, yes, I'm not going to Dubai. I'm not going to do it. So yeah, it just went silent for some time. And then I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I think I'm just tired of sitting. Now I really want to be serious. Now, this was me finding interest in Dubai. I really wanted to go there. And then I spoke with my older sister. I told her, now, here's the thing. Okay, I actually thought my laptop had switched off. But, anyways, here's the thing. There are some things that I did because I loved doing them. And then there were things that I did because I just wanted my sister to think that, I'm actually making efforts to make her happy, right? That's what happened. But still, I was interested in going to Dubai. So I started applying to Dubai, sending my portfolio. I actually got some decent responses. Some of the people there actually liked my work. And then the unfortunate part was that I wasn't on the ground because they would say that sometimes you'd have to do walk-in interviews, or if they liked your portfolio, you needed to be close by so that, they could at least even interview you online. But I wasn't there. So I spoke to my sister like, okay, this is what we need to do. You need to get me to Dubai so that I can continue sending applications, right? At least we know things will be better if I go there. Then she was like, all right, cool. Check for plane ticket prices, like the visa prices, as well as accommodation. So I got to speak to, I'd rather say a friend, right? And I was asking for accommodation, and immediately she just said yes. And then I told my sister, like, okay, so I think accommodation is sorted out. And after that, it just went silent. Like the whole thing just went silent. No money came, no feedback, nothing. It just went silent. And then I was just like, okay, all this for nothing. I'm never, ever gonna try going out again. Never in my life. I'm not gonna try it. Right? And then something just dawned on me. And I was just like, okay, it seems like I'm pushing to leave this country, but I don't think I've really put enough effort to really try to get a job here. So that's when I actually decided, like, okay, now I'm going to go hard as I can. So I tweaked up my portfolio. I worked on different projects. Well, in my freelance career, I never really had any massive projects. I would have small projects, some of those which I wasn't even happy about. I even got a few bugs, but still, I never enjoyed any of those things. So I started working on personal pitch projects, right? Things that I really loved, uh, giving myself creative freedom, doing anything I could think of. I really worked on my portfolio. I, you know, made it into something different. It looked really, really good. I was convinced it looked good. And then I started sending out emails on every um, advertising agency that I could come across. I would send as much as I can. And that year was 2017. Uh, from the efforts that I put in, uh, I got feedback from 4 different companies, all shortlisted for interviews. Now, the first interview that I went to, man, that was tough. When I left the interview, I really felt like I came out in second place, yet I was the only one who was being interviewed. And, you know, the biggest takeaway from that interview was that this guy, he was the managing director. He asked me and said, "What's your temperament level?" And then I did not even know what that meant. And then I was just like, "Temperament? What do you mean?" You didn't have to cut me off. This guy had to dumb it down, right? And then he was just like, "Okay, are you someone who easily gets angry? Like, what are your anger levels like?" And then I was just like, "Oh no, I'm a really good person. I never get angry just because I wanted to get that job." But then I had already failed because I didn't know what temperament meant, you know? So I left the place. I didn't get any call. Then I was just convinced, like, yeah, of course, I didn't get it because I didn't know what, you know, what temperament was. Now, the second interview, this has to be my worst interview ever. You know, I had to go to Avondale. It was a printing company. I went to see the guys there, and then I was told that the human resources manager did not come to work because he was sick. And then I was just like, who would get sick on the day of an interview, especially my interview, you know? So the guy that I met, he was actually, I think, one of the senior designers. He told me that I had to create a cover for, I think, some folder or something. And then they would assess and then give points based on what I would have designed. Now, I didn't have any inspiration at all. I didn't even enjoy it, especially the fact that the human resources manager was not there, you know? I created, I think, one of the worst folder covers in my entire career. I sent it to him, and he was just like, "This is just so basic, you know? Please redesign. Show us your creativity." And I was just like, "You know what? Go to..." Yeah, that's what I said. So yeah, I ended up not doing it, and I was just like, "You know what? I don't care about this company." Now, the third, I can't really say interview. The guys called me the first time to book a date with me. I don't know, for some reason, the network acted funny and they hung up. I tried to call back. They didn't answer. So yeah, that one passed. And now the fourth one, this is one of the most interesting ones. This was from uh, a company called C Media Africa, which is a film production company here in Zimbabwe, in Borodel, Harare. Um, I came across the applications advert on Twitter, well, now known as X, sorry. And so, yeah, I decided to just apply, even though I knew it was a big company. I kind of limited myself a little bit because I was just like, yeah, well, they probably need the minimum requirements, but I was just like, you know what? I'm still going to do it anyways. So, knowing that Paddington did not have a job, right? I texted him and I was just like, there's this job opening at this company. It's a big company. I find it interesting. Let's both apply. But here's the catch, guys. I was like, I'm applying for the graphic designer's position. Now you can apply for the cartoonist because Paddington also got to do animation in university. Now, the reason why I did that was because I knew that since Paddington has a degree and I don't, he would likely snatch the position from me. So I was just like, you know what? Let me snatch the position from him before he snatches it from me. So he ended up not applying anyways, and then I did. And I was surprised that I got a call from the guys calling me for the interview. But then, the same day I was called for the interview was the same day I was scheduled for emergency surgery because I had developed the cyst, which ended up leading to me developing high blood pressure. So, health first, more than anything, I had to go for the surgery. And I missed the interview, man. It really broke my heart. And then I told the guys, like, unfortunately, I can't make it for the interview because I've got surgery. And then you think in your mind, like, okay, if you have surgery, they will probably reconsider and maybe reschedule for you. And then, that's exactly what they said. Like, okay, we will reschedule for you. So I think 2 days after the surgery, I actually texted them like, okay, I'm now healing back at home. Is it still possible to have that interview? And then they became very honest with me and they were just like, you know what? It's just unfortunate. We actually got to interview someone else and we actually hired, so we're sorry. And man, I thought that my life, my career had ended there. Like there was nothing left for me. And me still being fresh from high blood pressure, my BP levels never normalized because I was so stressed at that point. I was just like, man, so what am I going to do? I didn't know what to do at that point. So, we got into the new year, and then I was just like, you know what? I don't know what is going to happen. I have no idea, right? So, I think I tried out a design contest from a site called 99 Designs. And fortunately, I managed to win that contest, and I got, I think, like $200 from that contest, and I was happy about it. Then I was just like, okay, maybe this year has got something really great for me. So a few months down the line, I had actually gone to see Paddington, and he ended up saying, like, because his uncle is a pastor, right? So he just said that it was one of the sermons at church where he was preaching, and he said that sometimes you might want to push yourself as much as you can to work for someone else, but then God probably has something for you, something different. God wants you to start your own thing. And then immediately we had a light bulb moment. Like, you know what? We still have Aptitude Legends because we named it in 2014. And we're just like, we still have Aptitude Legends, right? Should we start it? I think we should start it. And at that moment, kind of changed the landscape. So we started talking to different people. He got to speak to his brother in law because he is someone who's really who's a successful businessman, someone who's very passionate about businesses. And this guy called us up for a meeting just to educate us about how the business goes. And he also wanted to hear our views, like our visions, our goals. At that time, we were still new when it came to the business side of things. We didn't really know much. So we were just like, yeah, we will follow your lead as much as we can. And then he ended up offering us some office space at his workplace, and he taught us so many things. If it wasn't for this guy, we wouldn't have known anything about business because he really helped us in every way possible. This guy's name is Tinashe Chirere. And if you ever get a chance to watch this video, I want to thank you, Tinashe, from the bottom of my heart and from Paddy's heart as well, for everything that you did for us. Because after that, getting into the new year, before I even talk about that new year, 2019, 2018, right? We got someone who gave us some advice to do a promotion where we just offer a free design services. And we took that and we ran with it. We approached, I think we listed like 20 or 15 companies, and we approached most of those companies. And out of those, we only succeeded with one, which is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Zimbabwe. And boy, we were so grateful for that opportunity. But then we thought that was the difference maker. From there on, we're just going up. Now, getting into the year 2019, unfortunately, we didn't go back to the workplace that Tinashe had offered us to be in. So we had to find our own space again. Well, not really finding a literal space, but find our footing again. So we had to go back home. You feel like you've taken like 10, 15, 20 steps back because you've set this standard that you're now going to work, but then all of a sudden the people start seeing you at home again. It makes you feel some type of way. But anyways, we had also gotten a chance to meet a guy by the name of Colin Meda, or maybe if there's other guys from the industries, they might know him as Colin the Catalyst. So Colin is also a designer. He used to work at Zimbabwe Institute of Vegetal Arts, which was founded by Saki Mafundikwa, although the school ended up closing when the economy got bad in 2018. So we still stayed in touch with Colin, and I ended up bumping into Colin this other day, and he offered us a space in town, and part of that space was being owned by his dad. It was a building in town, so part of the floor was owned by his dad. So it's just like, you know what, we can get you guys to do design services, and then you get to use the office for free. So we got to work in that space, I think, for a few months actually, but we never really got any design work, like any paid work. We never really got that, but we took it as a chance to like work on our personal projects, uh, find ways to build up aptitude legends the best way we could. And I think to a certain extent, it actually helped us, but we ended up having to uh, leave the space because of things that happened, which I sadly can't talk about. And, it seemed like 2019 was a bit of a difficult year for us with Paddington. We were still trying to figure out things, but um, we then got to a point where I think in 2020 we entered a contest, which was a design contest for a logo, which was led by the famous model called Malaika Mushando. I think some of you guys might know her. And, we worked as hard as we could because we really wanted to win this. And we ended up coming out in second place as the runner ups, but we still got a consolation prize. And it really gave us a confidence boost. And now the interesting thing was that Malaika, even after the contest, she continued working with us. And we actually got to create a logo reveal for her production company, her movie company. So we, even to this day, we are still thankful for that opportunity. Malaika is doing fantastic things with her career. She's been touring different countries with her movie called Mirage, or Mirage, whichever pronunciation is the best. If you ever get a chance, you can you can watch that movie. So after that, we didn't really have anything to our name, and we were still trying to figure out things. We were working on personal projects. We even got to a point where we had gotten a spot at the Zimbabwe Film Festival. And at that time, it was headed by my father's really good friend called Mr. Nigel Munyati. So we got to meet up with him. We got to speak to him about the work that we do. And we actually had an animation that we had worked on called Wake of Imagination, which was based on our company's tagline. So he actually gave us a spot to at least like be the openers of the show, where we show I think parts of the of that animation, and we speak about it. We speak about our company as well. But then COVID ended up striking the whole world, and everything was shut down, including the film festival, and our opportunity was taken away by COVID, you know? So there's been so many bumps, you know. Uh, we never got back to that. And during that time in COVID, my dad actually came up to me and he said that his younger cousin brother knew a lady who had been working as a creative director at an advertising agency called Barker's Ogilvy, or some of you might know it as Barker McCormick. So they had plans of linking us up with the creative director. Because my dad was just like, well, you can at least get a few piece jobs from that, see what you guys can learn from that. So we linked up with the creative director. We sent our portfolio. She really liked it together with the guys from Baka McCormick, and she called us for a meeting. So it was two creative directors from Baka McCormick or Baka's Ogilvy. Man, I would just say Baka's Ogilvy, whatever. And we went with Paddington for the meeting. We had a really fruitful meeting, and these guys were offering us a space where we could work as part-time designers, because we wanted to go really as motion designers, because that's what we love to do. A few weeks passed, and the creative director, her name is Kundai Ohove. These are now former creative directors, but we still stayed in touch with Kundai Ohove, who's a really close friend of ours. So she got to link us up with the managing director, and his name is Mr. Alex Chishiri. So she linked us up with the managing director, and we ended up having a meeting with the managing director. We presented our work to him, and we had a few discussions. We exchanged a few ideas, and just a few weeks after that meeting, we actually thought that it was done. We were not getting anything because we were never called up. But there was still the COVID issues, the lockdown issues, and everything. But we got a chance to work on a few projects for them, and we actually got paid. That was a good thing for us. So afterwards, when the lockdown restrictions were lifted, people started going back to their workspaces, right? Workplaces. And we then got called up to Baka's Ogilvy. So we were working as, part-time designers, but still we were getting paid every month, and we really enjoyed until we got to the point where they called us up and they told us that they needed us to start working as full-time designers. Now, it was kind of a really tough decision for us, because we were just like, okay, I think we were having a really good space working as part-time designers, because we were able to develop our clothing brand, which is called My Story is My Gift. And, we were able to balance things, but we were just like, you know what, let's see how this thing goes. And then we ended up signing up as full-time designers. So to this day, me and Paddington are both employed by Baka's Ogilvy. Now, we signed on for the sake of learning about the industry, as well as getting at least, capital to fund our own things. So it's been, I think, a really good experience, and I cannot thank my dad enough and my uncle enough for that gesture, because we never imagined that it was ever going to get to that point where we say we're actually going to work. So now, Aptitude Legends is still in our minds, it's still in our hearts. It's just unfortunate that some of the things that we had planned to do, we failed to do because of, certain things. But now we're actually going full force. Like, we really want to build this up, because we have learned so much at Baka's Ogilvy. We can never thank Baka's Ogilvy enough for what it has helped us achieve in the years that we have worked. So this has been, I think, one of the longest videos I've recorded because it's detailing the journey of my career. This video is long because, the time we spent working on our craft, working on my craft, just to be in this space, was very, very long. So I think to, motivate you guys, uh, things don't always happen at center stage. We should always know that. It will take time, especially if it's something that you truly believe in. Never let someone make you think that what you want to do doesn't work. If you strongly believe in what you want to do, then go for it 100%. There's issues like, going to the UK, because there's been people who've been leaving Zimbabwe to do care work in the UK. Now, here's the thing. I had people forcing me to go to the UK. Like, you need to go there. That's going to change your life. Blah, blah, blah. I got to points where I started ignoring my relatives, something that I never wanted to do. But then it's like people don't want to see your vision. They don't want to respect that. But then I was just like, you know what? I've got my own thing, right? We've got our own thing. I need to push as much as I can. If you can't respect my vision, then I don't think we can ever be able to get to a point where we can have a decent conversation, probably about anything. Because, I feel like there's a time and a place for everyone. I think there are people who are meant to be successful elsewhere, and then there are people who are meant to be successful locally, And if there's someone or a group of people who are interested in like going out, be it the UK or Australia, Scotland, any other country that is not in Zimbabwe, and you feel like your calling is there, you feel like you can succeed outside of this country, I 100% support you. Like, by all means, you can do what you feel, and my prayers will always be with you. But then there's people like us, who like follow our gut instinct to stay here because we know that there's something for us. I mean, there's so many people who are succeeding as each day goes by. Day by day, there are people who have success stories here in Zimbabwe, the place that people say no one can ever do anything, that's positive. But we still have people, I mean, there's people who started their businesses pretty much the same time that we started our own. And they've gone to much greater heights in this country. Even people starting now, they're still building it up. So that's what I feel like, at least if we can be able to like strike a balance, see how best we can help each other, I think that would be best for us. And, one of the best examples, I have my cousin sister named Sibongile Moyo. She is currently the managing director at Nedbank Zimbabwe. In 2018, when we were still starting out, we had our business plan, and I thought it would be good to send our business plan to her because she's been in the business industry for so many years. She's proficient, she's successful, well-versed, a lot of experience. And I thought to myself, like, she'd be the best person to give us advice on what to do when it comes to starting our business. When I sent the business plan to her, one of the first things that she said was offering to buy me a laptop. The very first laptop I've ever had in my entire life. That's still the laptop that I'm currently using now. She offered to buy it. I would have expected her to tell me, like, no, what you want to do is not going to work, because at that same time in 2018, the economy was just going in a downward spiral, you know? But still, she, because she's been in this place for quite some time, she's been trying out things for a very long time. She knew that if you have the guts, you know, you're still going to succeed. Obviously, you just have to work as hard as you can. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I always think about. Like, yeah, at least she chose to offer. There's people who are like, if you can go out there and do something, why not, you know, try and bring in the money that you want to buy a plane ticket for me and at least invest in my business and see see how best my business can do, you know. So I think that's just the advice for people out there, is to just, you know, follow your gut. If you know that what you have in your hands is something that's going to be worthwhile probably here, then, you know, give it all you got, because, you know, you actually need elbow grease, you need grit, you need to go as hard as you can. If you feel like going out there is going to be the best solution for you, by all means, you can go. So I think that's what I felt like sharing. And I think there's a bonus, something that I thought of skipping, but you know what? This is Stride, and we just got to be open books. Um, it's funny because I think just after high school, right? Uh, you know, this thing where it's like you want people to know that you're doing something productive. I went to a college called Ilsa College, right? Telling people that I'm studying a diploma in graphic designing. So I think that experience for me was really terrible. I don't think that was actually graphic designing. It was just like the basics, you know. I got there, my mom paid the fees for, like, I think the first 2 months. So the lessons that we had, man, you know, I think we were doing must be Corel Draw, uh, one of the softwares that I that I despise personally. I'm not saying it's bad. I just haven't really uh invested myself in it. I don't think I don't know. You know, you can never say never anyways. So when I went there, you know, everything that we were told to do was just like, for me, I felt like I wasn't doing anything productive, because it was just a thing where most of the stuff I had already taught myself. Like, what am I even doing here? You know? So I ended up I ended up leaving the school because I didn't enjoy, but I still created an illusion to my parents that I was still going to college. And I think after 6 months or like a year, everything was just quiet. And then my dad kept on pushing, like, so what's up with the certificates? What's up with the results? Like, we don't know anything. And I lied as much as I can that the the exam board was having challenges. I think at that time it was uh, Damelin that was responsible for the whole designing thing. I don't know if it's still the one that's still taking care of that. So I ended up having to speak to Paddington and ask about results. Like, what does a marginal pass mean? What's the right percentage to put? And then I had to forge a diploma certificate, you know? Yeah. And I actually made it look really good. I printed it out and I showed it to my parents, like, yeah, man, I did it. I passed. Your son is now has a diploma, you know? That thing was as fake as they come. Because as the designer, when you see it, I think the printers didn't do a good job anyways. But then you take advantage of the fact that my parents they both wear spectacles, so they don't really see things clearly. And then I was just like, yay, at least I got out of it. But then that wasn't a good thing. So I think, yeah, it was a bonus story for you guys. So I may be unqualified, but I am unbeatable. And I can guarantee you that. As long as I believe in my dream, nothing is ever going to stop me. Doesn't matter what anyone says or does. The Bible says from Proverbs chapter 18, verse 16, your gift will make room for you, and it will lead you to rooms with greater men. I held on to my dream for as long as I could, and my dad ended up investing in it, even though he didn't at first. So I'm encouraging the person watching the video right now. The devil is going to be at work. He's going to do everything that he can to pull you down, to pull you out of your dreams. But I'm telling you right now, I need you to look him dead in the eye and tell him that you're never going to stop me. It might take days, months, weeks, or years, but take it from me. As long as you believe in your dream, you're going to make it. Okay, so we've come to the end of the video, and if you've been getting value from my content, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. I'd love to know what you think, and do leave a like because it really helps me create more content. And make sure that you've clicked the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the videos that I upload, because I've been seeing some of y'all. Seems like you've been sleeping on it, and I'm coming for you. Just a joke. Please do share the link to my channel to anyone you can think of. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. And let's grow together. Let's change the world together. Let's share our stories together. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.